Jebs, reach, who's king? Southpool, switch, lead, hook, chimping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast? All on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Boxing talk, big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.
Yes, guys, we're back. It's another episode of the B&D Podcast, proudly presented by your gracious hosts, Bass the Kid and Danny Glover. You know where it is. How you doing this evening?
Boy, it's one of them times. All good, all good. I also got to give thanks because my mum is officially back in the UK. She's been in Jamaica since November. She just touched back down today. She seems in good health. So yes, love and guidance and praise and thanks for all of that good stuff. But yeah, otherwise all good. Back at work, but I was working from home today. Went into the office real briefly. One quick assignment which I killed, and so did my candidate. So, big love, guidance, and support to him, who may be watching, but he should be getting ready for his big interview that he's got on Thursday. But we'll talk about that another time. All good. How's things with you? How did you enjoy your bank holiday weekend with the family and all the glorious events that took place?
Yeah, first things first, big ups and peace and blessings to Mama Bass. Glad to hear that she's back. And yeah, man, the 4 days off, I haven't had that in a while, so that was really good. The bank holiday weekend, had my fish, what I mean, the bun and cheese. Master Aficionado Junior had his buller cake with his cheese and his cup of tea. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it was all good stuff, and a great weekend of boxing. So yeah, did you manage to have some traditional fish and bread and them thing there?
I mean, I got the fish, but I didn't really get around to the rest of the stuff. Unfortunately, there was no bun and cheese for me. I could have got it, but obviously, I was Friday. I was doing back and forth side missions, all sorts. And obviously, I was at press conference for MVP. So yeah, by the time I got back home, that was kind of the last thing on my mind to get everything else. But otherwise, there was no meat consumption. That's the main thing.
Yes, that's the main objective. But yeah, man, hope everyone did enjoy their bank holiday weekend and their Easter weekend, and yeah, man. But yeah, let's get into this. So there's a lot of cards to go through. Obviously, people, you have to understand we can't go through every fight, otherwise we'll be here all night. So we're gonna go through, the main stuff, the main talking points. Um, so yeah, first, I think it's only right we start with Friday night with an Altrincham. How do you pronounce that?
Altrincham.
Altrincham. I've never been there before, but I know it's near Manchester. And we had on the main event, we had Pat Brown versus Vasil Dusa or Duca, however you pronounce it. And yeah, it was another stoppage win. I thought that personally that Pat was going to go the distance for the first time because I don't really see Duca getting stopped. And plus, he'd been the distance with some big punchers, I'd say, in the cruiserweight division in the past. But Pat Brown, he showed that he's a wrecking ball. He's got he's front wheel drive. He showed a bit of boxing skill in there, where normally he literally just walks in face first. He took a few shots, in my opinion, but he showed a little something else. But hey, Pat being Pat, he does what he does. But what did you think of that, the main event fight?
I can't lie. Very, very bad of me. But I kind of did that fight card the same way October used to do the American fight cards. I didn't see it and I didn't get around to going back to watch it. I'm sorry. Um, it's like I saw the only fight. I still haven't seen any of the fights. The only thing I've literally seen from that entire card was the highlight of Jordan Thompson getting stopped.
Okay, we was gonna yeah.
That's literally the only thing I've seen. I still didn't even see that fight. I've been meaning to go back and watch it, but like I said, there's just so much on. My Monday was hectic as well. I was going to try and watch it before we did this, but as I said, Mum's back, so that had to take precedent. So yeah, unfortunately, anything to do with that card, I can't comment on. I will watch it, and if anything, I can definitely give you guys a summary of it next week just to prove I do my work. But
Okay. Well, I'll give a summary on the card. The card was actually ballistic. Like from start to finish, every so-called non-house fighter came to win 100%. There was two upsets on the card. Um, which right, because I watched it from start to finish because I was a couch potato this weekend. I didn't go nowhere. So I was literally, oh, where is it? So we're gonna go through. Well, all right, I'll talk Jordan Thompson. So Jordan Thompson, he was fighting a guy. Oh, I don't even know the guy's name. Oh, wait. Pat Brown.
Spillmont,
Yeah, Spillman. We're gonna.
Spillmont.
Yeah. Wait, let me just get this up. Okay, yes, here we go. So Jordan Thompson was fighting David Spillmont, and he had a record going in as 16-9 and 16 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw. But he did have 12 KOs going in. Sorry, 17-9 and 1 KO. He's now 18. So yeah, this is over an 8-rounder. Jordan Thompson weighing in 237 and a half quarter pounds. The David Spillman weighed 262. Thompson, he started well, landing a lot of body shots, uppercuts in there, looking like he was kind of gonna get rid of Spillman, because I thought that he probably would have, because I remember when what's his name, the Dillian White's fighter, the Croatian.
Alan
Alan
Babbage.
Babbage, that's it. Alan Babbage stopped him a few years back. I remember quite a few years back. So I thought, yeah, Jordan Thompson should be able to get rid of him because Babbage is more or less a cruiserweight. Jordan was a cruiserweight, so it should make kind of sense. And he was en route doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, it got to like round 5, and he got caught, and then it's just like all the energy sapped out of him, and he just started getting punched up for about 2 minutes straight, and it's like, hold on, this could be a stoppage here at any moment. Like this could get stopped. Like he's not firing back. He's just taking punishment. He's just taking a beating, like pillar to post, literally every post. When you watch it back, you're gonna think, rah, this would have been stopped easily if it was the other way around. Then round 6, it was like he done all right, and then round 7, he was still. Then he started taking a bit of a little punch up, and then he managed to land a punch, hurt him, put a barrage together, dropped Spillmont. Spillmont went down. I thought it was like, wow, he's turning it around. This is going to be an exciting comeback. And then all of a sudden, he threw a couple of punches, and then it was like he was actually out of gas. And then he just got. I heard Daly saying, "Hold him, hold him." All of a sudden, he was on the ropes, just getting punched over the ropes, like literally, like kind of like Chisora was with Wilder, but the other guy knew how to step back, and he just hit Jordan with like a couple of pieces that was mad, and then the ref grabbed the guy, and then Jordan Thompson, in animated fashion, just went crumbling and like collapsing on the floor on his face, and that was it. And then the towel came in, and I was like, rah. Some people saying that the ref should have stopped it. Like he was late, but I was thinking the only reason why he let that last sequence go is because Jordan had just dropped him, so he was trying to give. He's thinking, all right, this fight could turn on its head maybe, or give the home fighter every chance possible. So, but if it was the other way, we know that house fighters and away fighters get different treatments. Also, Josh. Blenkiron, he lost to Robbie Coleman, who they had a fight in the amateurs, and Josh won that fight. Then they fought in the pros before, and Josh won that. But Robbie Coleman finally won it on a split decision for the Northern Area title over 10 rounds. Two guys from the Newcastle area, so I'm sure they'll run that back up where they're from. Probably, I don't know, maybe a Josh Kelly undercard or something like that. So that'll be good. They was all good fights. Alfie Middlesness versus Lewis Morris was a good fight. They was all good fights. So yeah, I do implore you all to go and watch that. But yeah, the highlight, I guess everyone is talking about is the Jordan Thompson defeat, and where he goes next, because that was a very devastating defeat after he had such a good showing last time out, even though he did lose on points, but we understood he'd been inactive. And this was just a shock that he lost to a relative journeyman.
So I guess question: Jordan Thompson, that's 3 defeats on the bounce now. Is he still going to be with Matchroom? Is he going to get another shot? And if he gets another shot, whether it's with them or not, what does he go? What does he do?
I don't know if he'll still be with Matchroom, because I don't know if Eddie Hearn's running a ship similar to how Dana White runs it, where you get 3 losses and you're out. And then if that's the case, he might have to look to Zuffa. But we know he's not going to get put in there with Jaya Pattaya again. But there's Brandon Glanton and his other guys. Danny said,
I mean, do you really want to see him in the ring with Brandon Glanton?
no, that's not. I don't think. I think he needs a rebuild. He might have to go onto a smaller circuit type show, maybe a Pat Barrett Black Flash thing, to sort of get his confidence back, because he's got to get a win. You're not gonna get any form of opportunity on this current 3 fight loss streak with 2 by TKO. So he's gonna have to probably go on a Black Flash show with someone like Zelfa or something, pump up the card a bit. But other than that, I don't see Matchroom giving him another shot.
Question though, okay, and we won't take up much more time on this, people. I know this has been very long on the card that nobody watched, but is there a possibility that he could become the resident Matchroom journeyman? As in, like, he's kind of the guy that now he's especially at heavyweight. He's the guy you kind of just give to the person you ain't really got an opponent for, and maybe you can make like good money that way in their eyes. Like he could just be that guy that, okay, now that he's fought this guy, the next one you kind of put him in there with is Leo Atang, maybe 2 fights down the line, or he can be sort of the one that just kind of when you just need to test, is that guy ready to take the next step up to the British level? Do you think he would potentially take that role if it would meant guaranteed pay purses?
I don't think so. With his personality, I think he's quite a. You see, he comes across as quite a confident man and a proud man. I don't think you'd want to take up that type of role within boxing. Even when I saw his post, he said, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be back, this and that. So he seems quite defiant on the loss. So I don't think he want to be looking to take that kind of route. Whether he ends up getting placed in there, promoters know how to jinnles a man around and, as you said, give him a couple of wins, and then, as you said, sling him in with Leo Atang and go, oh, he's on a 2-fight win streak, he's on form. You know the drill. So, yeah, that could possibly happen, but I don't think he would actually voluntarily go that route.
Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next call.
Yeah, Star Fox.
And let's keep it to the main fights, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the next show we're going to go to is the O2. No, sorry, we're going to the Lauren Price show. I actually watched that just before we came on. So that's the only fight I watched from that BBC card. So Lauren Price, what's your thoughts on the fight? Do you think that the ref could have potentially stopped it? Do you think she was in any danger? Because her face looked like a horror movie.
No, I don't think she was in any danger of the fight getting stopped. Like, yes, there was like a lot of blood, but realistically, the ref knew the blood was coming from the mouth. That wasn't never going to be an issue. The cut on that came from the side of the eye, again, it wasn't dripping down into the eye. She was obviously hit and hurt a couple of times, but she was never like visibly rocked on unsteady legs, like buckling over or anything like that. So it was just a case that, provided she stayed on her feet and carried on doing what she was doing, she was going to comfortably get the win. And it was one of those fights I kind of said, these scorecards could end up being very like wide, but you would kind of know that that Stephanie Pinheiro would have been there to really, sort of give a good account of herself. And if she had either had a bit more energy, tenacity, or the ability to just stay on Lauren Price's chest rather than trying to set up the perfect shot, because she landed it in the 5th. she thought, oh, I can maybe land those perfect shots a bit later or try to draw the lead. Um, it was, she was letting Lauren off when she was hurting her in the later rounds. I definitely would have. I would have been on her chest from early, would have been digging down to the body. I would have been being a bit dirty, pushing her into the corner so that she can't, use her quick feet to get out, do as much trapping as possible. I was imploring on the watch along. I was saying, Stephanie, be dirty. Like, she's there for the taking. Be dirty, push her into the ropes. Like, use the forearm, push her back. Like, don't let her set, but she just didn't either have the energy or I guess the experience to do it. She was, like I said, she was more about trying to sort of box with her and sort of fight her in the pocket, but she just wasn't drawing the lead. But on the flip side of that, before all that damage happened to Lauren Price, she had the perfect opportunity to KO Stephanie Pinheiro in the third round. Hurt her badly, like real badly. She was dipping, she was wobbly, like, she had unsteady legs, like she didn't even have her arms up to defend herself at the time. And rather than step forward and show that killer instinct and that dog and grit that you really need to really excel and be top of the division, she actually backed off and was looking like she was waiting for another opportunity to try and just hit and hold or hit and move away. And she allowed Stephanie to recover, and subsequently all the damage and everything that happened afterwards came because of that moment. So that's one thing Lauren Price is going to have to learn, especially if she wants to face um, Clarissa Shields. Yes, you can have a boxing match with Clarissa Shields, but one thing about Clarissa, if she thinks she's got you hurt, she's running forward. And even when she doesn't think she's got you hurt, she's throwing hella punches right in the middle, and she's stepping to you to throw hella punches. Whether they're heavy enough to hurt you or not is a different story. But she has a killer instinct. She just doesn't have finishing ability. Whereas, and if you want to get the respect of Clarissa, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to make her not want to throw. And I just don't think Lauren's kind of got that instinct in her. But she was, 165 in the amateurs, so the weight itself, fighting her at 160, if it was to happen, shouldn't actually be an issue. I reckon the reason she cut up so badly in the fight is maybe because she's a bit drawn at 147 now, bringing out a lot of that water from her body. And maybe a move up to 154 could be the ticket. So maybe the 160 clash isn't out of the realms of possibility. Hence why Clarissa was there. I feel like it could either be a case that she needs to move up, or it could be her deciding that maybe she doesn't want to be in the game too much longer, and it could be cash out settings. But she doesn't appear, either her or the team or Boxer doesn't appear to want that Michaela Mayer smoke. I don't think they've got enough money to get Michaela Mayer over, and they don't want to send Lauren Price to her because they don't want to lose their last flagship fighter. Where it's her and Adam Azim now because everyone else has been beat. So yeah, that's kind of the way it's setting. So they try to find they try to do the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury blueprint to swerve the main person in the division, or the person that you might think is the main person. And they try to find alternatives in each other rather than to try and do that one because maybe they don't feel like they're the A side, won't get the right money for it. But who knows? It was a good fight. Otherwise, Stephanie did well. She just didn't do enough. She didn't show enough grit and determination. I mean, if she was moving like Maeli Flores, she would have KO'd Lauren Price. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Big up Dan, the man. Mrs. Andy, Karma, appreciate you all. Please make sure that you subscribe to both of our channels, Base the Kid at the Hardcore Casual and Fight Fan TV Network on the YouTube. Hit the like and notification bell so you get all of that each and every time, each and every week. My assessment on the fight, similar to what you said. In the fourth round, she hurt her, but I think what it is, she hesitated because naturally she's a counter puncher. What I've noticed with Lauren Price, what it is, her physique and her face look more menacing than her actual boxing style. So
Danny, I never cut you off. Apologies, but she's not a counter puncher. She's a lead puncher. She's a sticker move type of girl. She's not the one to counter you.
she comes across to me as a counter. Like as you come in, that's when she fires the 1-2 left hooks and the 3 punch combinations. As you step into her range, she doesn't really. I don't notice her really taking it to somebody like say Clarissa Shields does.
She steps onto a person like she wants to control the pace and the range. So when as soon as she steps in, she'll hit the jab or the backhand and she jumps straight back out. If the other person steps in, like she already will be knowing either she wants to step around them or she's gonna hit and then she's gonna step out of the pocket and stop the engagement. But she's definitely not a counterpunch. She doesn't wait for them to throw and then lead off. She wants to be first. Hence why she was getting caught in the exchanges with Stephanie. Stephanie was a counterpuncher.
Yeah, Stephanie was. Yeah, she was more so, but her work rate started a bit too late for my liking. But then what it is, she hesitated, and then it's like I thought she did try to go for the finish afterwards, but it's like that moment had gone, and then she threw these two sort of straight lefts, but then the bell went, so the moment had gone for her. Because I see she did when she realized she was hurt, but it's like, but she was stalling, and then that's when she, by the time she did try to get in there and finish it, the bell went. So I think it wasn't a, yeah, she needs to work on that. I don't think she's naturally she doesn't cut. No, she just doesn't. Her physique and her face does not match the style she actually implores, in my opinion. But then, yes, she got caught in the fifth round. Her mouth went, and then it started looking like a horror movie. She started taking a lot of shots, but she wasn't really ever that wobbled ever really. But Stephanie started piling on the pressure. I think the scorecards of 99, 91 and this 98, 92 times 2 was a bit harsh on the scorecards, but overall, yes, Lauren Price did win. Clarissa Shields came in the ring afterwards. I thought she was very respectful. She kind of wanted to say, listen, you keep doing your thing and we could get at the end of the year, but you're going to have to perform a bit better than that to if you're going to stand a chance against me. Maybe Lauren is a bit weight drained, but she didn't look as ripped as she did in the Natasha Jonas fight. But I probably put that down to inactivity. But I think she probably is too small for someone like Clarissa at 160. Over when you see them standing in front of each other, Clarissa was very imposing over it. Even though we know Clarissa's coming down from say 175, but I still think even them two at 160, Clarissa's going to be the noticeably bigger woman out of the two. The Michaela Mayer thing, I'd have to delve deeper into that because the way she was talking is that Michaela Mayer is the one messing her about, and she said she doesn't want to wait around on her, so she's moving on to bigger and better things. So
Yeah, that's cap. I mean,
I don't know the history.
look, if you can do the work on, you can go on Twitter X for that. There's previous videos. Essentially, what basically happened, and initially, Top Rank made an offer to, they made an offer to Lauren Price last year, before the deal closed up, right? Lauren, for whatever reason at the time, said that they weren't available at the time, needed some time or whatever, and then at that point, Top Rank lost the deal. They lost their deal, so they didn't have the network deal, and then Lauren's team, obviously Boxer, lost the Sky deal, which meant that neither at the time then had a platform. Then they both came back and had platforms. Michaela's team they've tried to initiate talks again recently, and for whatever reason, it's probably now. Before they had money that was kind of agreed, as well as now. I don't know if the same level of money was put on the table, and obviously Lauren's just gone to MVP. So at this point, it's not between Top Rank and Boxer anymore. It'd be between MVP. Now MVP haven't made a bid yet, from what I've told, but I know that Michaela's team have been trying to speak with Lauren's team and speak with Boxer, and apparently they're not hearing anything back at this point. So that's the talks that I've heard. And like I said, if you look through the whole of Twitter X, you'll see Michaela like, Lauren, why do you keep telling people we don't want the fight? My team's been trying to make this fight for the last year. Like, please hurry up and get away from Boxer because like they doing your career knows. That's what she said the other day. So with Boxer's track record, I'm just saying I think I'm more inclined to believe Michaela on this one.
Yeah. I don't think Michaela ain't someone who's ever ducking. Like she's going through the weight division. She's fighting big punches. She's fighting everybody. She's up for it. So yeah, I definitely don't think she's ducking Lauren Price. So it probably may be a boxer thing where they're trying to hold on to any um main eventers that they've got, but they'll probably happily do it with Carissa Shields because they know she brings the probably the most money. So you got something. So it's a cash out thing. Lauren Price, she looks a bit domesticated. You see her, lipsing up her missus at the end of the fight. The I don't know if it was a brother or a nephew or I don't know adopted son, but he looked a bit awkward, like he's thinking, and he walked off. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, but I look forward to. But it's good to see that Michaela Mayer does have options other than Lauren Price, because we saw the next day she stepped into the ring and did a head-to-head with another fighter who we might brief. No, with Chantel Cameron. We ain't going to cover that fight. So yeah, so we'll go on to the O2 Arena fight now with Deontay Wilder and Derek Chisora. I must say that I got the result wrong. I thought that Derek Chisora was going to stop Deontay Wilder between 6 and 8 rounds. I just felt with Derek Chisora's recent form, managing to drop Joe Joyce and win a few decisions here and there over other guys, that he would be too much. And with Wilder's recent performances, the last fight, the Hendon one, he just looked a shell of himself, even though he managed to get the stoppage win. And then we obviously saw the other stuff where he got knocked out by Zhang and then, just kind of schooled and beaten about by Joseph Parker. I just thought, yeah, he's really done. But he showed that he maybe is healed. He says he needed healing. That woman was probably draining him. He was going through a lot of stress. So going on that performance, I think that, yeah, we know he's not back, but he's as good as he's going to get as a 40-year-old. We had a 42-year-old versus a 40-year-old. Some people saying, oh, it was a rubbish fight, it was boring. I didn't think it was boring at all. I thought this was a very, actually, entertaining fight. Both men gave it their all. Both faded guys, but you're dealing with 40-plus-year-olds who are going to be past their prime. And I thought they served up a good fight. They had dramatic scenes. We had, nearly over the top rope incident in the first round where one of Chisora's team an MMA guy decides to jump in the ring and try and get his little moment, nearly getting his man DQ'd early doors. But shout out to the referee for not doing that. Otherwise, the place would have literally just kicked off immediately, even though it did kick off in the 12th round from the video I saw the next day. Wilder managed to hurt Derek Chisora with some 4 right hands in a row as Derek Chisora thought he had him. Then he tried a little Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair moment where he goes, I'm sorry, I love you. I love you. And Derek Chisora said, I love you too. Tried to finish him off, pushed him. Mark Bates is definitely not on the pushing and shoving, because he then took a point off of Wilder, even though Wilder did drop Chisora the first time. Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. I thought it was a good fight, and yeah, but I do feel that Mark Bates was definitely heavily favouring Derek Chisora, helping him out here and there, because there was a moment in, I think, was it like the 3rd round where he got hurt, and then it's like he was complaining about something, and another ref would have just said, oh, well, this guy don't want to fight, and waved it off. As Wilder went to try and finish him, Mark Bates has like held him back, stopped him, then said, go to the neutral corner. They said, oh,
I think what happened, he said he got thumbed in the eye.
Oh, is that what he was saying?
Yeah, because he started pointing to his eye, so I think he's saying I got like he thumbed me or I got caught, and I think that's why the referee allowed him to have that moment.
Okay, because it looked a bit suspect to me. I just thought that could have been a stoppage moment there. Good to see Derek is retiring, but is he retiring? Because he said he's going to go home and see Wagwan, and then, it looked a bit...
He's retiring. He ain't got nothing left. I think anyone who watched that fight realized that he could do all the trash talking he wants to do. He could do all of the funny, like, just be the entertaining. To see him back in the ring again, I don't think anyone really wants to see it. They kind of wanted to stop seeing it a few fights ago, but he just kept kind of pulling pulling something out of the spirit. But now we saw that the look like the legs were just not doing anything. He could barely get into range. He was off balance more than usual. He was overweight compared to what he's normally been.
Who are heaviest?
Everything was just there, like, to say you've got nothing left whatsoever. The only thing you've got is the ability to maybe still go 10 to 12 rounds with a substandard opponent, but outside of that, no one wants to see you take any more potential damage. I think his wife is telling him, if you even think about going back in the ring, I'm divorcing you and taking the girls, and you're never going to see them again. That's the kind of ultimatum she's probably giving him.
Well, I don't know about never seen him again, but she'll
She
probably.
she might say, "Look, you gave me your word. You want to carry on with this foolishness? You're gonna do it by yourself, because we don't deserve to see you going through that kind of foolishness anymore."
Yeah,
I'm
she'll
not
take
saying
part.
I'm not saying she's heartless, but it's the kind of thing where you say it, like you won't really do it, but you know that if he's got any kind of sense about him, he's not gonna make you like test. He's not gonna test the waters either. I think it's
Yeah,
one of them ones.
yeah. And then what I'd say is, with Wilder, what did you think of his performance, and what would you like to see for him next?
In terms of his performance, I thought his performance was as I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I can swear. It's my channel if I get demonetized. So what?
Yeah,
His performance was shit. It was just as shit as Derek's, but it was the two pieces of shit made the shit sandwich that just was entertaining for all the wrong reasons. Like I said, it was, to me, arguably, it was probably the worst fight I've ever seen in terms of a boxing match, but just in terms of all out like nonsense, it was highly entertaining. I didn't mind losing the £20. I'll be honest, and to be fair, I made it back because one of my subscribers, shout out to them, hit me back with the £20 super chat. So I made back the money I paid for the pay per view, plus whatever I make on top of it with all of the ad revenues and that. So I was suitably happy, and it didn't the event didn't go on mad long. It was a bit later than I thought it would be, but it was a shit show. But it was the same kind of shit show as two drunk men just fooling about outside the Weatherspoons. It's not something that I'm looking at like, boy, this is an excellent fight, but it was entertaining. I was laughing. It was pure jokes on the watch along. It's one of my favorite watch alongs to do, just to laugh at a fight. But I was entertained,
I
and
think
that's
that's a
that's
bit
all I
harsh.
can really ask for.
I think that's a bit. I saw Wilder employ a bit of a jab there. He was throwing a couple of lead hooks in there. He was getting a bit adventurous with his
The,
shot
the
for once.
jab that he was throwing was literally, it was almost like get off me jabs, get away jabs. More, it was a lot of range finders and then not throwing the right hand after it. And the only time he wanted to throw the right hand was round the back of the head when him and Derek was in clinches on the ropes, and vice versa to Derek. I'm not saying it was Wilder. Like, Derek probably started it, but Derek was doing it because that's just how he fights, and Wilder was doing it to retaliate to what Derek was doing. So it was one of them ones, and I don't even know if the knockdowns that got called for Derek were actually knockdowns. I saw the fight. I don't think any punches actually landed. I think he kind of got bumped out the ring both times in the eighth round, and I think he got bumped out the ring in the 11th as well. But then alternatively, he threw a punch that landed on Wilder's shoulder when Wilder ended up on the canvas in the 11th, and I think he partially stepped on Wilder's foot as well, which ain't really hard to do. Like, got boats out there, so I everything was just like off. But ultimately, it was what it was. Like, Derek could have been disqualified on three separate occasions in the fight, which was probably a bit unfair to Deontay. But in that same vibe, you could say, well, if he did get disqualified, it probably would have been riots in the arena, because people have paid their hard-earned money. The people who obviously the broadcast, like pay-per-view, ain't paying for a disqualification fight. Everyone would be demanding their money back. So yeah, like, it was, like I said, it was just one of those fights. Neither guy's got much left. Or Wilder may have a little bit more left, and that's only because he's in his career outside of, I guess, Chisora now, and maybe the Parker, the Zhang, and the Fury fights 2 and 3. He's pretty well preserved. He ain't been in as many hard fights as Chisora has, so he can probably get 1 or 2 paydays, but it ain't gonna be against anyone that's anywhere fresh. He has to fight. Everyone he fights has got to be 37 and above, and they have to have had long careers. They can't be like a young 37 because he ain't winning. He ain't winning none of them fights.
Well, AJ's what, 36?
Yeah,
I think that's
but he's
suitable.
turning 37 in a couple months in
Oh,
November,
okay.
isn't it?
Yeah, I
Or
think that
October,
one's
whenever it
suitable.
is.
Yeah, I
So
think.
like, if he fights AJ terrorizes him at this point in time. That's not even a big take for father because AJ destroys him. I thought AJ destroyed him before, but right now AJ does horrible things to Deontay Wilder in that ring. And then outside of that, like I said, if the only other person he wouldn't even do well against someone like Jerome Miller, who's there to be hit right in front of him, because
Mm,
I don't think he's got the punch power. Number one, I've never thought he's had the punch power that everyone else believed he had. He was fighting lackluster people that were just gonna stand there, and not know how to take a shot, not know how to ride or slip a shot. But outside of that, you can clearly see that whatever he had before, he ain't got the same even level of technique and torque in the power in the punches that he had back in the day. So
mm,
he ain't got the same punch power. He ain't been fighting the top level people, and when he has, we've seen what kind of happens there. Anyone from this current generation and above, he's not beating them.
mm. Do you know what? There's a fight I would like to see him have next in the interim, whilst he probably waits for a AJ fight because no one wants to see the Fury one again. Um, I think Nelson Heiser will be a good fight for him because Nelson's 41 years old, unbeaten. I think like 24-0, big KO percentage, but we know it's at a lower level. And that's I think, yeah, as you said, it's around a good age range for him, and I think that'd be a good next fight for Wilder if he was to get another fight and then push on and try and get the AJ fight and then bow out.
I
Um,
think Nelson will probably be too much because he moves too. He's not the fastest, but he's got good movement and he's fluid. I don't think Wilder, because remember Wilder wants someone who's going to stand in front of him so he can throw the backhand.
mm,
Nelson move. I think he moves too much for him to want to set because he won't set his feet and he has to set his feet to throw the shot. I don't think he'll be comfortable enough to set his feet
yeah, that'd be something.
unless it's like maybe rounds 10, 11, 12, and Nelson just mad tired. But I don't know.
Yeah, because I think he's only been in like 8 rounders and I think a 10 rounder once here and there or something like that. He hasn't really been the long hauls much in his career. Yeah, quick honourable mention for well done to Vidal Riley on winning the European title against Masternak, who will pass his sell by date, but good performance to him nonetheless. And then we'll go on to the
Oh no, you gotta say shout out to Denzel Bentley as well. Can't
oh
forget,
yeah.
can't
Oh
forget
my
Big Dens.
Oh my God, sorry. Yes, big up, big Denzel Bentley against Endra Saavedra. Yeah, give us your take on what you thought of that performance, and also, do you regard him as the full WBO champion?
Right. So very briefly, I thought the performance was actually a bit lacking to start with, and I was worried that Denzel wasn't shaking off ring rust. I was worried that maybe he was slightly starting to outgrow the weight because he was moving very sluggish, in my opinion, and he looked like he got tired from that the end of round two. And I was worried that he's like now he's just almost in management mode. I know he's always got a big shot, but he didn't seem like the Denzel I remember from in the Asazi fight or even a couple of the fights before that. So I was just a bit worried that he had been out of the ring for a bit too long. It's starting to catch up with him, Saavedra was applying the pressure that I didn't think he was enjoying, but he had moments early, and those moments was what made me say, all right, as long as he doesn't like totally capitulate here, it could get interesting. But I was really worried that had it have gone 8, 9, sort of them kind of times there, I was worried that he might either get stopped or like he could be in survival mode for the rest of the. He could have been in survival mode for the rest of the fight and possibly lost that way because he was down on the cards prior to the stoppage, in my opinion. But Denzel, he managed to find the shot that he needed, And again, we talk about killer instinct. That's one thing that ain't lacking from man like Denz. You know, shout out to SW11 Batter. See them places there. He's on smoke, and when it gets down to it, if he catches you, like you're not getting away. You saw he started switching in mid punches. Like that was how much he was just trying to make sure that there was no escaping. There was no moment for a breather, to the point where he like Savageau looked like he was about to take a knee and say, "All right, give me a break," and Denzel uppercutted him back to his feet. He said, "No, we're not done yet. There's no breaks here. Like take these punches." And Savageau had no choice but to carry on trying to take the punches, trying to block as many of them as possible. Referee, I feel like he did a decent job stepping in. If he had have let it carry on a bit to see if Savageau could have, maybe carried on or rode out the storm or recovered himself or got knocked down and then maybe get back up, fair. But for me, there's a lot of stoppages. I'm always like, but I didn't mind this one because it was about what 20. I think about 20 punches, 29 punches unanswered or something by the end of it. Not all
Yeah,
of them were, concussive, but it's, he just, I mean, Denzel found that second win, and he wasn't about to lose. He probably would have been collapsed in the corner at the end if he if he didn't get him out, but he was prepared to throw the entire tank out, and he was empty in the tank, and he didn't have no airs and graces about doing it. But yeah, that's my thought on that. And in terms of, do I consider him the full champion? Um, I mean, I guess technically I can't, because the WBO are doing a bit of a madness at the moment. They suspended Yanni Beck, but they haven't stripped him. So there may be a reason why they haven't stripped him, and if that's the case, Denzel, even though he has the same duties as a champion, being the interim, until such a time as Yanni Beck is put his champion in recess or gets stripped or the belt becomes vacant, he has to wear the interim marker at this point. But it's still more than I ever believed he'd be able. Not Yes, it's more than I've ever believed he'd be able to achieve, honestly. Especially after that first Yanni Beck fight, you guys all heard me on the Undefeated podcast when I was with Travis and KG, and he came on, and I didn't like the way the Queensby were moving him if he actually believed he had world title ability in him. And then obviously we saw, Nathan Heaney after that as well, and the Felix Cash fight prior, and so you just didn't think it was in the cards, but the Lord works in mysterious ways. It was definitely, a Easter weekend, a Good Friday, and leading into a good Easter Sunday for him. Big ups to Denzel, and he's always love every time I see him. So I'm really happy that he's at that stage where at least there's a very big chance that he could be legitimately called a world champion in the next couple of months, or at least be able to fight for the full title against Janny Beck once the suspension's over.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Boxing Beats and Rhymes in the chat. Skyline and Editor, much appreciated for the love and support each and every time.
And Star Fox and Phil Maticone as well. Big ups to you guys. I know we did see you, and Different 16 as well. Appreciate the kind words in there. Yeah. Obviously, and Philip, we can't ever forget man like Philip Answer, Mr. Ever Present.
Yes, each and every time. Much
We said Karma Zareen, Miss Sandy as well, and I know Miss the queen of Base the Kid the Hardcore Casual is also in the building. Miss Yasmin Malik, shout out to you. Thank you very much for being here.
Come on. Yeah, no, yeah, big up Denzel. Do I consider him the full world champion? I would like to know, has this ever happened before where a person suspended still gets to keep their title for the full serving term of their suspension? If it has not, then in my opinion, I would consider him the full world champion. But if it has happened before, then I'll accept this interim thing until otherwise stated. So, but then moving on now to the last card of the London Olympia in Kensington, which you was at. We'll start off with Catford's own, our Blue Borough Queen, Ellie Scottney versus Maela Flores. Now, this is potentially fight of the year contender, in my opinion. Especially for women's boxing, I'd say that probably is the fight of the year so far for me. Flores did this little squat pose before the first bell rang. I thought, what's this little Taco Bell girl doing? But then all of a sudden she just come out blasting. And I'm like, raw tid. Like, okay, Ellie's in a serious fight here. Left hooks, right hands, head and body going in. I'm like, Ellie's in a, she's in a serious fight. I scored the first round for I think I gave the first round to Flores. Then Ellie started landing the overhand rights in there, um, getting to grips with Mayela Flores after a while. But Flores with the work rate, the punch count, I'd love to see the actual final CompuBox numbers, but the scorecards to me was very disservicing. I personally scored it 98-94 for Ellie, but yeah, the that was just such a good fight. There's just so many various points to talk about in the fight. It's hard to kind of summarize it and go through each and every moment of it. But what I will say is that that was a serious fight, and Mayela Flores will definitely become a world champion again. But no, congratulations to Ellie to become undisputed super bantamweight champion. This Saturday, when I'm going to be in the Sydenham area, I'll definitely grab a Ellie Scottney deal down at the Morleys, as they're doing a promo for her as a sponsor, as a kind of collab sponsor, and in celebration for that. And yeah, just to see. I remember her first day coming into the Lynn AC, little round cannonball, and she's now formed into a woman, and she's doing great things. And yeah, she's the best out of the blue so far. So well done to her.
Yeah, look, amazing work from Ellie. Shout out. Obviously I was there. Gave her a hug at the end of the night. I spoke to her obviously in the press conference before, so we had a little conversation after I asked questions to her in the press conference, and she was really obviously happy, and she'd like, oh, thank you for those questions. Like, it was actually sick and everything. So we had our moment there, and I'm super happy for her. Obviously, I see her so often. It was funny. I almost never used to see her, and then every minute, anytime I'm in either Tesco's or like I'm in the Sainsbury's down in Bell Green, like we just always happen to always buck up into each other.
I'll save
Especially,
it for now.
yeah, especially there. Especially when like just like winter time just gone, or just before then, and even sort of last year, especially just up until when she had the injury was the last time, and that was just Catford outside my workplace. So it's always love when I see Ellie. But my thing is, as happy as I am for Ellie, I can't be as happy as I want to be, because I'm disappointed and almost infuriated with the disrespect to Miley Flores from two of those judges. 100-90 on two cards. Look, I'm the first person that can say you can have a fight that is like extremely close or extremely competitive every round, but still be like a whitewash where one person just does enough than the others. To me, this was not that fight. Yes, you could say that Ellie was landing cleaner shots or the cleaner work in most of the rounds, if not all of them. But one clean punch doesn't negate 4 or 5 cuffing blows if they're hitting scoring areas. Yes, even if, like you say, if 2 or 3 of them hit arms and gloves, cool. If you've got 9 cuffing shots that are landing and arms, gloves, but then 4 of them are getting through to scoring areas, those 4 shots still outweigh that one clean shot, unless that one clean shot drops you and knocks you down. So there was many moments in the fight where Miley was outlanding her, was obviously putting the pressure on, making it uncomfortable, throwing those uppercuts, throwing really sort of hitting the body, hitting the side of the head, front of the head, and ultimately, if you look at Ellie's face at the end of the fight, clearly shots were getting in. So it's not like, oh, everything was being blocked and slipped and rolled. Like, certain stuff was landed. Um, when I was actually watching like live, I had it sort of, I thought it was maybe 96, 95 slash a 97, 94. So I saw, 7 rounds I could give to Ellie, or 6 rounds, 3 or 4 to my Ellie, possibly a share of a fifth, or I gave the ninth round as a draw. So, um, yeah, like when I knew that Elliot won, and I was like, well, she's gonna win on these scorecards. I can't really see anything other than that. And the UD I was expecting. So when the first judge, I think it was Steve Gray, said 96, 94, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's about right. It's pretty much my scorecard. Um, no issues with that. Then I heard the both scored it the same, 100 to 90. I was like, I can't be happy for this victory, because now it feels like you were basically going to get the win no matter what. It feels like those scorecards were already predetermined, and it gives the narrative that she needed help to win the fight, and that's not the case. She won the
Mm.
fight legitimately, but that just makes it look like, to me, a tainted victory, and I shouldn't feel like that. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on it. But outside of that, and outside of my sort of disgust for those judges and their performance, I I'm extremely happy for Ellie, and obviously she did it on the Lord's Day, as we spoke about her doing. And I know that Nan will be looking down, and giving her those good words and the good graces probably that night and on Monday, well, yesterday, on Monday, innit? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on the fight.
Yeah, even Ellie said that the scorecards weren't was very harsh on my Elliot Flores. So even she knew the fight was closer than that. I think she really enjoyed and relished the fight, because there was times where she was banging her gloves together and let's have this scrap, and it was a very good fight. Um, and yeah, just very proud of her, really. But yeah, it does look like with scorecards like that, the fix was in. That wasn't yeah, the judges need to do better than that. But no, well done to her. I guess. Do you think she's going to go up to the next weight division,
Yeah,
or?
she's not staying at 122. There's no reason for her to stay there now. She accomplished what she wanted to accomplish. Even to defend the belts is probably not worth the sacrifice it's taken to get down to 122. Obviously, remember, as you said, she was a bigger girl when she was younger. So she's getting older now, 28. It's about time to let the body start maturing and doing what it needs to do. So, yeah, in my
Yeah,
opinion, I think she's going straight up to 126 and looking for the next challenge up there.
yeah, makes sense. Sounds about right. And then in the main event of the evening, we had Caroline Dubois versus Terry Harper in a unification at lightweight. Um, yeah, but it was such a great build up. Everyone wanted to tune into this. Even Mrs. Glover was intrigued and said she wants to see this. Like, she's rubbing her hands like Birdman, waiting on the fight. Um, so yeah, what did you think of the fight, and how did you score it, and yeah, and what did you think of the fight overall?
I thought it was tentative, bit cagey, but it was a fairly tactical battle. I felt like both ladies were a bit. I don't know if nervous is the right word, but they were both sort of snatching at shots at time. I know Caroline was trying to walk Terry onto counters, which I didn't think was. I felt Terry was too smart for that, and she's already said that her game plan, she was going to match Caroline early, but everything was about being calm and cautious, and like switched on in early, and then really sort of tried to step it up in the later part of the fight. So certain times Caroline was snatching at lead right hooks, and I thought that was maybe just nerves of, oh, I want to try and hit this girl, I want to try and make her feel the power, I want to see if I can get her out of it early. And it is after the fight, obviously she said that she was ill, she got ill the day of the fight, which therefore possibly makes sense as to me why she was trying so hard to land certain shots early, because maybe she didn't trust that she'd have the engine due to the illness. And especially whereas, Terry Harper had pretty much been saying throughout the build up, if this gets past 5 rounds, you're in trouble because you ain't got no engine, you don't work hard enough anyway. So, yeah, I think it was a fairly good fight. I mean, I scored it 98-93 to Caroline, because I had 2 rounds there that were draw to me, that were draw rounds, which was the first round and the 10th. and then obviously Terry got knocked down in I think it was the sixth round,
Yes.
or the seventh. So therefore, that to me had to give, you had to sort of take one of the points off from the draws. Hence why I had it in 98, 93. But yeah, it was 6 rounds to Caroline, 2 rounds to Terry, 2 rounds even. But it was a clear win for Caroline. Terry, I feel like if she had have maybe committed to a little bit more, a little bit earlier, she could have had a lot more opportunity, especially to sort of maybe win, or to even try and force Caroline into some levels of uncomfort later on in the fight, just due to gas tank and whatnot. But I guess when you're in there and then punches are landing and and you feeling them, maybe okay, let me wait for the opportunities to present themselves, and there just wasn't enough of them in her mind. That's kind of how it looked. Um, yeah. What else did you ask?
Um, no, I think that was it really.
All right, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that's me.
yeah. For me, I scored three of the rounds a draw. I scored the first two rounds a draw. The first round being a draw because none of them landed a punch. It was barely
I
even.
think they both landed one each, but it was a jab. I think it was like jabs to one was a jab to the chest, the other one was a jab to the body.
Yeah, to me, I didn't see anything land watching it on the TV. Maybe maybe your view wasn't that bad where you were sat there in the end.
Oh no, I wasn't sitting down. Then I got up and I
Oh,
moved.
oh, okay, yeah. To me, none of them landed a punch the first round, so that was a draw. The second round, it was like nothing really happening anyway, so I scored that draw. The third round, I gave to Caroline Dubois. The fourth round, I gave a draw round as well because nothing really in it. Then the fifth round, I gave to Terry Harper. Obviously, the sixth round, I think that was where the knockdown happened. So that 10-8 straight away. Seventh, Caroline Dubois. The eighth, I know the ninth and 10th I gave to Terry Harper. I think the eighth may have been Caroline Dubois. But I know in the end, my scorecard ended up being 97-95 somehow. Um, yeah. So it was that. Yeah, it was and for me, if Terry did have more belief, I know I did predict that what she was going to do is try and weather the early storm, but there wasn't really a storm because there was not much going on. So she wanted to be, safety first, be defensively responsible, and then try to push on after the fifth round, as she was alluding to. But what the issue was is that because there was not much fire action going on, Caroline wasn't depleted enough for Terry to step on the gas. So maybe, and when after the fifth round, when she said that's when I'm going to turn up the heat, all of a sudden she's got caught with a straight left down the pipe, and over she went. So that would have put her back into retreat mode. Like, oh, okay, maybe it's not quite ready to try and step on the gas. But then she obviously felt something. Definitely in the 10th round, she started landing shots where Caroline's looked a bit flustered and disturbed by the shots going in there. Maybe if it was a 12 round, it could have got really interesting. So yeah, Caroline said that she goes of all days today. So I don't know if it was a time and a month thing or just an actual illness that came about through making weight, maybe as you get kind of colds and stuff like that, and get what do you call it, deplete your sort of minerals and stuff. So either way, something obviously affected her. But also, as you said, it's not a good look where it's like two fights in a row now. You're looking like you're fading down the stretch. People will try to play on that and try to feed off of that and look at that as a possible angle to work your body early or stick it on you early, and then there won't be much left for you to really do in the back half of the fight. The other question I'll ask you then is, what do you think about the Alicia Baumgardner fight potentially happening, and Clarissa Shields also saying that she'll fight Shadei Green, and she wants Caroline Dubois versus Alicia Baumgardner on as the chief support / co-main event, etc.
So obviously that's the fight Caroline wants, is the Alicia Baumgardner fight. Now I'm going to try and be honest, and well, I'm always honest, but I'm going to try not to be biased in my take here, right?
Yes.
Because everyone knows I like both ladies. I liked Alicia first because she turned pro first. I knew about her, like, obviously before Caroline. I knew about Alicia back from 2018. So long before the Terry Harper fight and all of that. Um, but Caroline is obviously a fellow South Londoner, and she's given me a lot of time, whereas Alicia doesn't necessarily respond to my messages. So it's one of those situations. But I think in this particular instance, yeah, it's fair to say that Alicia Baumgartner is trying everything she can to put distance between that fight. Now, a does she have a perspective of, well, you've not done enough to really deserve that fight? Yes, she can say that. I became undisputed, so you go and do the same thing if you want this fight. There is that. There is also the perspective where she can say, well, we're not even in the same weight class. So you calling me out, why are you calling out the smaller girl for? Like, when there's people that you need to deal with in your weight. There was the situation where Caroline had with Beatrice Ferreira. Beatrice was she had fought at 130, but she's also 135. But she was advocating for Caroline. She was a champion, offering Caroline before Caroline had a world title. I think just before she got the world title, I think she was offering to fight her. But then she got the world title, said, "Let's make the unification," and Caroline was putting a lot of distance between that fight, talking about, if I'm going to take that fight, it's going to be the last one, because that's. And then she basically let the cat out of the bag. She said, that's the hardest fight, and it's the one that probably gives me, in her mind, she believed it was the one that gave her the least money. Maybe that's what Boxer told her, but I think even though it may have been the hardest fight, I'm a proponent of, get the hardest fight out of the way first. Then if you become undisputed, you can become undisputed with the easy fights. So Terence Crawford was essentially, you could say Errol Spence did it the long way around. He took the easy fights, then the hardest fight, when you're at that point, couldn't get it. But if you fall before that, then you know that you're not kind of there yet. You know what I mean? So
You love rubbing this
no,
up.
no, no. The point I'm making
Yeah, I
is
know, I know.
that if you do the hardest one first and then have your victory laps to get to the undisputed, because the hardest one is the hardest one, and you don't want to fall at the final hurdle, because I'm gonna assume that feels worse than falling at the start. Okay, maybe I wasn't ready. I'll circle back around to it. So Caroline is culpable, and it does have some of the same faults that she is placing on Alicia. She was avoiding a fight, or putting distance between a fight for someone that was actually in the same weight class as her. Um, for the idea of easier pickings, which is what she said Alicia's doing now. She's fought Jennifer Miranda and the other lady who I don't remember, the Canadian girl or whoever it was. She fought those two very easy pickings. But Caroline was after Rhiannon Dixon, who had no amateur background, and then after Terry Harper, who had been knocked out twice and also had no amateur background. So I can see both of them are guilty of the same thing in that sense. But Caroline's stuff is all historical, because she has openly said, I want to fight the people that I don't want to fight Katie Taylor, because she, like, if I beat her, I won't get the credit because she's on her way out. And I don't want to fight Holly Holmes or Stephanie Hahn, because she said neither of them doing it. If it's Holly Holmes, again, it's an older fighter that's on the way out, and Stephanie Hahn, she said, does nothing for her. But she said, I want to fight a Leaf, or the Turk, as she calls her. I don't know how people feel about
Yeah, I
that.
know, she keeps calling her that. Like,
I mean,
act like you don't know her name.
I'm just saying. But she says that she wants to fight her. If she can't get Elisa, she said she wants to fight her. That's who she wants. So basically, she's put it on the plate. All right, if Alicia says I have to go undisputed, then cool. I want to try go undisputed. I don't think she's long for 135 though. So ultimately, if she doesn't get Alicia Baumgardner next, or the fight after next, which is what I asked her, she said that. Well, she goes, I will, obviously I'll stick around for like the big fights, or I want the big fights, so I'll make it as long as I have to. But she said that it's not easy to keep making that weight. Alicia does kind of feel like she's hiding out at 130 at the minute, because there's no one at 130 for her to fight. She's not going to get Amanda Serrano. Serrano's not going to go up to 130 to fight her. So Serrano's the A side here. Let's be honest. Serrano's got the money. So if you want to fight her, she's only gonna fight two reasons now. Number one, the biggest paydays or to break certain records. She wants to break the knockout record that is held by Christy Martin. Okay, there's absolutely no way that she's going to risk going up to 130 to fight Alicia when she probably won't break the record with her, even if she wins. You're probably not going to get that, right? So she's also the A side. She doesn't need to move up to try and be undisputed in another weight class, and she won't be undisputed because Alicia gave up the WBC the same way that she gave up the WBC. It's probably not worth it. I think she's already held belts at 130 before in her lifetime. She doesn't need to do it again. So Alicia saying that she wants that fight is basically it's putting distance between a fight that is likely for a fight that she probably knows will never happen. So in that sense, I do feel like there's a little bit of ducking going on that side. But as I said, it's a bit of both, the pot calling the kettle black in this particular situation because Caroline was doing the same before. If I'm gonna be honest about the two, so I feel like there's a lot less places for Alicia to sort of run and hide in this situation because the fights that she's asking for, she's not going to get. She's not getting Katie Taylor in Katie's final fight, and she's not getting Amanda Serrano. So you get past Bomi Ration, which you should in theory do, although that lady has got a brick head and a gas tank that you don't like. You're not the person that does you're not the gas tank merchant. So that's a very tricky fight for Alicia. I tell you that from now.
Potentially.
No, not potentially. It's a very tricky fight for her. Standard. Even if she wins that fight and she wins it clear, she's going to be in some problems in that fight. 100%. Bomi Ration is not for play. Win, lose or draw, you're in a war with her.
Yeah, but remember, sometimes there's those type of fighters where they do that, come forward and bring the heat to a lot of people. But if you're skilled enough or able to do things that brings down their punch count, then it's something like Floyd used to do to a lot of people. I remember, what's her name? Alicia did that to Delphine Pursoon, who was also known as a big work rate merchant volume puncher.
Yeah, but Delphine Pursoon was basically on her last legs.
Yeah, that's
Bomi Ration is not on her last legs. And we know, even against people that Alicia is dominating in fights as of late, she still fades very badly in the second half of the fight. And Bomi Ration is not getting knocked out. I can already tell you that from now. So Alicia is going to have to work for all 12 of those rounds.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to enjoy that, is my point. Whether she wins and wins clearly or not, she is going to be problems. And considering that Bomi Ration is big enough to campaign at 135/140, even though she is like a 130 pounder, Alicia's not going to just be able to, this isn't like Jennifer Miranda, who was a 126 girl, who ended up actually looking bigger than Alicia in the ring anyway. So it's just one of them ones where if she gets past that fight, there's no rule. She's got no where to hide. There's no other fight that she can have that the people are gonna accept apart from the Caroline Dubois fight. Now, obviously, she can have the fights. She's under no obligation to fight Caroline, and she's still right. Caroline hasn't done enough really to demand that fight in terms of what I've achieved to what you've achieved. But it is the fight people are calling for, and there's only so long. And the thing is, at the end of the day, she's better off fighting Caroline now than later, because you're 31, Caroline's 25. You hold that fight off for a year, 2 years, and she becomes a 27-year-old, and you're 33, coming towards the back half of your peak, and she's hitting her stride in a proper woman's body, letting her back get even bigger. That's a long night for you. You want to get her now when she's still relatively green and young. So, this is one of them ones. Like the excuses are they're falling on a lot of deaf ears. I see it in a lot of the comments. Of people are saying like, okay, just say you're ducking and be done. Like doing all the and I'm not saying that I don't necessarily agree. I understand. All right, you're the champion. Do it on your time. And you are the smaller girl, so realistically, Caroline should be looking at people in her own division or looking at people bigger than her rather than looking at the smaller girls. But she called you out. And if you went, you called out Clarissa, and was prepared to move up for her, there's no reason why you can't move up for this young upstart that's making a name for herself, that is garnering attention, and that is giving you the most press that you're getting recently, outside of the controversial stuff that we don't really want to talk about, whether you were exonerated and it wasn't the case or not. This is the most amount of attention you've had since that fiasco occurred. More attention than the Michaela Mayer fight, I feel. More attention than even the Clarissa Shields stuff. This is a real thing that people are interested in. So you might want to answer that call if the Bomi Ration thing works out. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah. What I'll say is, if you're prepared to go up 35, 40, 47, if you're prepared to go up three divisions to fight Clarissa, then surely you should be, willing to go up one division to fight Caroline Dubois, in my opinion. She's saying, "Oh yeah, I don't fight when you want me to." Yeah, fair enough. I understand that you're the A side. You've done as she said, she's done what she needed to do, cleared out her division, and all that good stuff. So yes, she can do it on her time. But all this, oh, I know who I'm going to fight next, and it ain't going to be you, as you said. She's alluding to, or basically saying she wants to fight Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano probably isn't looking to fight her. She's gone all the way down to what featherweight now, or something like that. Amanda Serrano.
Yeah, she's back at Feather.
Yeah, so she's back at feather. She ain't looking to really go up if she don't really need to, because she's a side in her field. So yeah, there's no one even. I was looking through the rankings of the super featherweight division. There's no one even like left to really fight. There's no way he's gonna be Miyamoto, Caroline Very, Leila Boudouin, Maria.
She fought her. That's the last person she fought, Leila Boudouin.
Oh, I thought. What about Jennifer Miranda?
Yeah, but Miranda, then Boudouin was next.
Okay, yeah, Mania. There's no one left. Like, what you gonna try and get another Puerto Rican like Korea Tapia or Elise Soto? Like, no one cares about that. So, if you
No,
ain't
well, Ellie Soto is she's too green, but she's actually a bit of a knockout merchant. But
oh,
she's green.
okay, but yeah,
But
no,
she's good though. She's good.
but these fights are not going to garner the attention and the purses and the Netflix deals type things that she's going to want, because I know she's enjoying this celeb uh, kind of thing at the moment. So the only one that actually makes sense, and it's in house once again, is Caroline Dubois. You've got no one left to fight at 130, so you might as well just go up to 35. It's £5. You might even feel more energized going up there, since you seem to always be fading, your punch power doesn't seem to be as strong in the second half of fights, because you're dropping people and you're hurting people, but you haven't actually got a stoppage or a knockout or whatever since Terry Harper, which was a long time ago. Yes, you've got that trump card where you said I took her out and you've gone points and stuff like that over the common opponent, but as you said, Base, I agree. There's no one else out there who's a brand name, who's going to garner the same attention and have a good build up. The Clarissa Shields thing, Carissa's too big now, so that's just dead. That's dead in the waters. It's Caroline Dubois, and it's better you get her now than when you're fading possibly, and she's still in her stride. And you'd want to also, if you are going to shut her up and dog walk her, as you like to say, then it's best you get there first, because otherwise, it could run a risk where Elif Nur Turhan gets there first and gets the job done, and that's another scalp, which you ain't going to be able to really get all the plaudits from. So, and then jumping up and down, going, "See, you ain't ready for me just because someone else done it." You can't, as Henry Okoli says, you can't get credit off of someone else's work. It doesn't work like that. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I hear it. I mean, look, there was obviously other cards as well. There was Zufa, which none of us watched, even though they were now on Sky Sports, and there was also technically it was what was it? No Limit in Australia, but it was technically over on the PBC via Amazon. Didn't watch that either. There was
Tim Zoo.
Yeah,
I
against
didn't
Dennis Nerja.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
There was, I guess, talking points to kind of go over today, but we've run a little late. So I want to ask the people. I'm going to ask you lot in the chat. Should we do an additional part of this later on in the week, where we talk about some of the news that's happening, obviously, and then the lead up to what's going on, or would you be happy for us to carry on maybe and give a little addition to the to the actual show, because we're already like 15 minutes over what we normally do, but I'm happy to go for another sort of 15-20 if you guys in the chat are still with us. So I'll leave it up to you guys. You got 2 minutes to get your comments in and let us know. If not, Danny, are you free anytime later on in the week to either do another live or maybe a pre-record for the rest of the stuff that maybe we need to talk about?
Yeah, I can do that later on in the week if people think that we're overrunning. Yeah, I could do that like on a Friday, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so far the people are saying carry on. I'm locked in. Okay,
Okay.
I mean, if you're happy, you still good to go?
Yeah, man, I'm good to go.
All right, people. Look, you got your wish. We're continuing on the talk. So that's all of the boxing out of the way. Now, a few things, and I was actually going to. I wanted to do videos on this. I still might do a couple videos with extra thoughts, but some topics, some talking points, real quick. First things first. You got man like Conor Ben, right? So he was with, he was with Gary Neville on the podcast. I can't remember if it was the football one or stick to football or whatever it is with Gary Neville, but he did the podcast with him, and he was saying basically that and he said Eddie Hearn didn't lend me no money for my legal fees and all that stuff. Did you hear the response on the IFL TV that Eddie Hearn?
Yes, I did.
Right. So go for it. Tell me your opinion on this, and like it's getting nasty between the two of them. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts on it. Oh man. What I will say is Conor Ben has a great team. He has a great legal team because what he's trying to essentially do is, or say, is that Eddie Hearn didn't lend him the money. It was an advance on his purse. But the thing is, at that particular time when he needed the money and would have been given that money, should we say, that money was being put into his account. He wasn't able to box. So it would have been an advance on what fight? Because it sure wasn't an advance on the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. Um, so what fight was it an advance on? So Eddie Hearn is saying, like, I gave you 350 bags for this. Then I gave you, in total was 500k basically.
No, it was more than that.
Oh, okay, so what, it was
So
500?
he gave him 300k to buy the house, and that was a loan. He gave him 250 as an advance on the purse for the Chris Eubank fight to buy the Rolls Royce. The fight then didn't happen, and he had to wait until, and then obviously he fought the fights again in America, but I don't think that was enough to give the money to get the money back at the time or whatever,
Yeah.
and with the legal fees and everything. So
Pistol
then he
Pete.
didn't get that money back until the first Eubank fight. But then he's now saying that there's paperwork saying that he also did give him money for the legal fees. Whereas
Yeah.
before he said he didn't remember whether or not he did that, but he was like, "Well, I gave him that advance. What do you think was paying for his legal fees?" kind of thing. But he said, "No, there's actually paperwork saying that we did give him additional money to sort out his legal fees as well."
So that works up to,
Well, we don't. He didn't give any. He didn't give any amounts on that part.
yeah. But
There's 550 that is accounted for, plus whatever he gave. He said on 2 occasions for the legal fees.
yeah, so it's getting really nasty here. But what it has done to Eddie is made him look a bit silly with egg on his face. Yes, we know you're always going to protect your client and not throw your boy under the bus, but with people now resurfacing Chris Eubank Jr., exposing, because let's keep it real. Frank Smith's going to be pillow talking with Eubank's sister, so she's obviously going to tell Chris what's being said. Like, so he knows. So when he's saying this, he's not. He knows. Like, all right, well, we know when he say we can't trust anything, listen to anything you say, Eddie. So he knows. Like, Eddie, you're lying. I know. I know what's happening. You owe this guy owes you money. But what? So now Eddie is gonna have to come out and do an apology video of some sort to Chris Eubank at some point. Because he's getting mad. Because there's going to be all sorts of... Because even Frank Smith's saying there's so many other things he could expose. And these are probably things Chris already knows anyway. But I don't think Chris has had enough of all that. He's now... he's got his kids now and he's just doing the dad business. But I think that the more this spirals, more things can start coming out. And it's Connor has... He needed to get ahead of this earlier. And then I'm now hearing... there's 2 interviews from big channels who've done interviews and they've been told they can't release it, and there's rumors of what stations they are. So it's all getting a bit mad, in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, boy, yeah. Look, first thing, if you guys remember, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was around the whole stuff was going on, and I said, well, look, Connor says he's got this paperwork, he's been cleared, exonerated, all this stuff, but I put out a video where I said that I think he did it, and there was something that he had said in the interview which made me question stuff that he had said before, and it just started leading me down a path of I was doing little bits of research. I'm like, I think he did it. Now, obviously, as you said, Eddie would have been backing him, whether or not he truly believed that he was saying the truth or not. Because the problem is, Eddie obviously came out and was like, when you guys see the paperwork, you're going to understand, and rare. But now he's kind of moving almost like he kind of just went off of the word of Connor. So did he actually see the paperwork that he was co-signing? Like, what, does he now say that I trusted him, I believed him, but he lied to me, so he probably did do it? Or is man saying that, yeah, like, he was innocent in that moment, but he also is just not a trustworthy person in general, and that's now been established, even though obviously that's something that Frank told him time ago, which maybe shows that Eddie has a issue with judging characters, because it's not the first time he's been quote unquote deceived by someone and thinking that they were something that they weren't. So in that particular instance, I'm like, boy, you're yeah, like, but in terms of Connor, like, this just makes everything look worse. And now you got Eddie obviously looking very, very deeply and closely into the whole Regis Prograis fight, which is supposed to be $15 million, and that's it. And Connor's like, oh yeah, I'll be a free agent afterwards, but you could almost be certain that there's some kind of agreement that says that we can have options on the next fight, or we're allowed to provide you options for the next fight for probably like a reduced rate or something like that. There's probably something in the contract there. So that whole thing's getting messy. It doesn't make Eddie look much better, because now it makes him look either dodgy, a bit snaky, because now all of a sudden you're exposing all the stuff that you could have told us about before, whether he's your client or not, because you rode and you co-signed everything he said. Whereas now all of a sudden it's like, oh, when he's a scumbag, he's a dog. He you told Chris in the press conference he didn't lend man no money. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, we did. Not only did we lend him and we advanced him, and then we paid for his legal fees, which is what Chris already said. So that makes Eddie look bad on that side, but it also makes Connor look like an even worse individual. Now everyone understands the whole, putting your family first and understanding, family comes first and everything. We all get that, but the way you moved initially, we didn't like. Now we're hearing your PR spin is horrible. It then takes us back to that Piers Morgan interview where you said some mad stuff in there, and people tried to defend it. Even myself, I was like, you're just saying some stuff, whatever. But now it's like, and if people are directly telling you this is the stuff you should be saying, then people ain't your friends. They ain't got your best interests at heart. But if it's just you and you're just now just lying, which is what it clearly is at this point in time, yeah, it's not looking great for Connor, and he went from sort of being the he was just that guy to being the villain, obviously after the fiasco, to coming back to being the hero after the valiant performance in that first fight, and now back to being a villain again. And I don't know if he's going to be able to take it. The psyche wise, it's all getting a bit mad.
Also, seeing as we're talking about Conor Ben, do you know of what the issue is with Regis Progress? Because Eddie Hearn's saying that this guy is not even fit to fight. Obviously, we've seen these little animated pictures of Progress all bandaged up and on walking sticks in an airport. I know that's not real, but do you know what is potentially wrong with him?
I've heard two things. I've heard that he's got an ankle injury, and I've heard that um he's got some form of osteoporosis or something in his knee. Yeah, I think it's the right knee as well. The one that obviously has to sit. He has to no, sorry, the left knee, the one that he has to sit back on to throw the shots. Um, that's what I've heard. Like I'm not, no one say that that's correct or not. That's just what I've heard from. So he's literally like he's a he's bandaged up. He's the walking wounded. Um,
Oh,
Fighting the guy obviously 2 weights above where he's ever fought before. So he's in there to really like make Conor look good because from what I've heard, he can't even really throw the power in his shots the way he used to. They say power's the last thing to go. Well, not if your legs ain't working.
yeah, his power from the legs, and
Yeah.
he's got
So
the big legs and that. So yeah, he ain't getting no purchase like that. So yeah, if that's sounding mad. Also, what I wanted to ask you about is we've seen some controversy, and I saw a tweet which I replied to on X from Wally Downers Jr. He was saying boxing is broken and we're going to fix it. Where should we put the boxing journalists who have followed these fighters since day one and who celebrate the sport every week and battle to column inches up against football? I know. And then he's put a picture of where the media press row was, and he's basically saying that he's not happy where the media was sat. They were too far away from the action to to give color commentary or any sort of good feed. So what's your opinion on that, and
well, are
how
we
did you feel
talking a
about doing that?
specific event, or are we just talking in general where media should be sitting?
Well, that particular event and some of the other ones, because I've seen media way further back than even the one on Sunday. Before I've seen them like way up in the stands, like the Fabio Wardley one. They was way up in the stands. I luckily got to the other bit where it was right ringside, but the majority of them was up, well up in the stands. I've seen, I think it was the Chris Eubank Ben one. They was well up, way far. So I've seen some mad ones. So what's your thoughts
So
on that?
when it comes to stadium fights, I understand that because they put the media where you normally would get the commentary, like for football. So that makes sense because they put them up there. You put them with like either a very good vantage point with no one sort of in front to impede visions, and you also give them monitors if they want to see like the real up close stuff and see it the way that it's being seen on the live broadcast. But if you're in a venue with no elevations and it's all seated, um, and the particular venue we're talking about is the MVP one at Olympia in Kensington, it's all flat surface, and the media was the last rows of seating in the venue. So there was no seating behind, there was just a load of seating in front. And there was three rows of media, but then there was like about there was about 6 or 7 rows of seating in front, maybe up to 8. It might have actually been a bit more than that. I can't quite remember now. Um, Obviously, yeah, it's on the elevated. The ring is on the elevated platform, but where you're seated, there's still, if people are in front of you, like they're still going to impede your view, and then obviously you get those people, plus you get the medical staff and the other people that are there who are constantly standing and moving up and moving around and going around the ring. So it wasn't the greatest of angles. It wasn't the greatest of places. It's to me, I think that the media section, there should have been a section for the media inside inside that the inner circle where you would normally see them, because they obviously they're there to build I guess to highlight and profile your event, even though they're not allowed to bring necessarily cameras or take certain footage. They're supposed to be promoting and doing the event throughout the night. It would make sense for them to be closer to the action to be able to report and uh, give valid perspective from where they are, um, which it was very hard to do from the back of the arena, especially when there's a lot of people sort of walking around you, um, and obviously where they were when the media was, it was an exposed area, so you had to decide, do I even want to risk like leaving my stuff unattended on the tables, laptops, phones on chargers, bags, stuff like that, because anyone could just walk around and walk past. Whereas normally in the media sections, they're carted off. You're inside a certain space. Only people with accreditations, tickets, or certain wristbands can get in. So yeah, it wasn't the perfect placement. It I don't know if it's maybe the venue themselves and the way that it was laid out, and they've realized that, oh well, maybe we don't have the necessary arrangement, but York Hall managed to do it. So I don't really know if that's an excuse. Ali Pali, when you go to Ali Pali, they have a similar layout there, but they always manage to find the right place to put the media. It just wasn't a well thought out thing, and to the point, I'm not going to mention any names, but I spoke to some representatives from Top Rank who were there, um, about it, and some other people, and they even said, yeah, it's not good, it's not good enough, and hopefully the next one, if we're involved in it again with that promotion, we'll obviously speak and see if we can get the media to a more favorable part of the arena. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. I think media should, if it's media, they should either be in media boxes with media compliments or whatever, like whatever you do for media, they should be in boxes with unimpeded views, or they should be fairly close to the ringside area, protected away from public, especially when I said like they've got high value equipment and stuff with them, or things that generally you won't be allowed to bring into a venue. So that stuff
Mm.
should be able to be protected. That's my thoughts on the situation.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. I didn't know that you guys was like the last row, and it was all like, because I did see the overhead thing where there was a section where it was a lot of empty space at the back. So if that's where you guys was, that's not very safe to have all your stuff laying about, because say you got to go around the back to do certain interviews, and everyone tends to leave their backpack and stand or laptops around. Because at least with the copper box, yes, there's a couple there's rows behind us, but it's not like people are gonna really have to try and reach over to try and manage to get anything, and even then, security's on either end. They'll see someone trying it, so you're kind of safe even in the copper box. So it's MVP's first show in the UK, so I guess that is something to for them to work on. And it's good that you did manage to speak to some representatives where they said they're going to work on it and get you guys get the media in a more advantageous position. So
But here's the question though: it's their first event in the UK. It's not
yes,
their first event as an MVP. I know it's MVPW's first, like one of one, but MVP as a whole have done shows. So it's, I mean, is this how it is when they're in America? Do their media sit at the back of the arenas when they're in America as well? That's something I'd actually like to know, because if that's the case, that's very odd. Considering at the press conference and at the weigh-in, media was at the front. Everything else was sectioned off behind them. They had barricades at the weigh-in. The other part in the press conferences, they didn't have barricades there, but it was only people that had accreditations and stuff that was allowed to be in. But the media was in the front area, so it just seems very odd that then you go to the actual fight night and you remove them away from the barricaded, secured area to the back of the arena or the back of the venue.
Well, maybe you have to talk to someone like Christina or someone who has been to, I believe, an MVP show in the past
Well,
over in
but
America.
she was doing the corner.
Oh, okay. So yeah. I don't know who's done media at the show. So yeah. We'll hopefully might find somebody, but yeah, it's not great because I was actually defending the promoter actually to get my reply on. One second. So my reply was some media are ungrateful. That's a good view. I didn't even get accredited for last night. I could have called the action from there easily and happily. So I don't know. Maybe it was a bit of me campaigning to get on the next one, but um, now you've given a bit of more detailed breakdown of why it was not received very well. Now I've got a better understanding. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, a little bit just to talk on some fights that have been announced. You got Abdullah Mason against Joe Cordina. I think that's at the. I don't think that was been announced as a date yet, but I think they're
No, it
looking at.
has.
Are you sure? Is that one that the May the 30th of May? Because I know
Yeah.
O'Shaggy Foster is the 30th of May with Ray Ford, but I think that one hasn't got a date yet. The Cordina one, but I think they're looking at sometime in June.
Um, one second, because I know that it's definitely in no, July the 4th.
So
4th of
okay, so they've
July.
moved. They got July now.
4th of July. That's oh what's the it's a special day then.
Yeah, July 4th, Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day. But it's that what's the thing they call it? There's a
That's what they call it, Independence Day.
no, but it's a something week they do out there. You know the black thing.
No, that's Juneteenth. That's in June.
Oh yeah, sorry, Juneteenth. Yeah, July the 4th. Yeah, sorry, Independence Day, where you don't wear white shoes or something like that. But yeah, they're having it in Cleveland, in Abdullah Mason's hometown. So yeah, July the 4th.
Yeah, there's couple of obviously we had the break or the bad news that Callum Smith pulled out of the David Morrell fight. Morrell then called out Ben Whittaker, said, "No, come off that Brian Suarez fight and let's get it on instead." Obviously, Ben, and Eddie are probably like, "No, we're gonna do the rounds with the people that Lyndon Arthur was fighting, and let's just see how we navigate that one before the big fight that he's going to be with Xander Zayas and Jaron Ennis. What's your what's your thoughts on the injury supposedly with Callum Smith and the WBO they've given him 180 days to do the rematch, so basically 6 months, but I don't know if that means that David Morrell is allowed to have a fight in the interim, or does he wait the 6 months? Or whenever there is a possibility within that to do, because I would imagine that would mean he would then be out of the ring for nearly like 15 months by the time that the fight comes around. And I don't know if that's really what you want to be doing either.
Mm.
Should he maybe stay on that card in April? Say to Eddie, look, all right, give me a reduced purse, but I've already been, I've been putting in the money for training camp. Just give me someone to fight, and I'll fight underneath the Ben Whittaker fight. Just keep me on there so I'll stay sharp. Then I'll keep quiet for the next 6 months until the fight. Or do you think that the WBO have said he has to fight him, or they'll basically strip him of the belt? But do you think that they will make the fight again, or do you think maybe that they're waiting now? But now that he's got injured, they'll rather just wait for Dimitri Bivol to beat Michael Eifert if that's the case, and then just put him in a Bivol fight next and drop the WBO interim.
There's so many moving parts here. So the injury, I believe it's a legitimate injury, which is unfortunate because he's not been active at all. Say in the past 5 years, he's only had about 3 fights or something like that. So and he's what 35 now, 36. So age is not on his side. He's been inactive since that Joshua Boazzi fight, which was in January last year. That's no good. He was before he had the quick run out on the Sonny Edwards card in Birmingham the month before in December. He was out for about what 12 months from the Beterbiev fight. Um, so it's not good for Callum at this moment. It's very unfortunate because he's very talented. With David Morrell, I think yes, he should ask Eddie to put him on a reduced purse, get on the card, let him, jump in the ring with Ben Whitaker afterwards, have some smack talk. Whether it comes to any fruition is up to Eddie anyway. But it gets more eyes on the show because that's definitely going to take a big um hit, especially in Liverpool because obviously Callum Smith is the main man and Ben's not from Liverpool. Um, so and then with the fact that um yeah, I don't want to see Morel have to wait 6 months for Callum because we've seen so many times when these fights get rescheduled, they never end up happening. We've seen it with Joshua Buatsi do it before with Maxim Vlasov and various other fighters in the past. It just never comes off. Something happens and they go in different directions and people get messed around and they end up out of the ring for 15 months plus or 2 years and it's just long. Morel needs momentum. He needs to stay focused. He needs dates. He needs activity. Um, but if Callum is legitimately injured, depending on when he is okay, he might think, oh, do I go into this Morel fight, which is tough, where I've been out of the ring for so long and even longer now I've been injured? Or do I just jump into a Bivol fight where I don't think I'm going to necessarily get hurt? If anything, I might get outboxed at best, but I'm not in with a punch and I get like a full world title shot. So it's just so many, it's like so many if buts and maybes. But I would like to see Morel stay on the card, um, showcase himself, and also I'd like to see Callum Smith fight David Morel. But if he doesn't and he goes for the Bivol fight, I won't blame him. But I don't want to see Morel have to lose out and suffer at the consequences of that.
Fair dues, fair dues. Right, that's all the things that I kind of wanted to bring up. Unless there's anything else that you've seen that you want to highlight, if you want to give any quick predictions or takes on the fights this weekend, feel free.
Yeah, there's no other news I wanted to bring up. The fight this weekend, the show this weekend on Netflix, which is not part of my ultimate tier, but yeah. Yeah, Tyson Fury, I expect to win on points against Makhmudov fairly comfortably, but not look like himself. He's going to look like he's on the slide, but he's going to be skilled enough to, move and slip and slide. I expect Conor Ben to. I even said anyway before all this other stuff, the injury stuff, I expected Conor to blast Prograis out in 5 rounds. He might even get him out even earlier now, since this guy's going to be a sitting duck. Um, who else is on the card again?
You got Richard Riakporhe, Jamie TK.
Oh yeah, Richard Riakporhe, Jamie TKV. I see Jamie TKV making this a very ugly, mauling fight, similar to what he did with David Adelaide, using his quick, sharp jabs, but also, that jab and grab style and sort of working on the inside, whereas Richard's not really good at throwing punches on the inside, but Jamie does have to be careful because if Richard lands a big bomb, I don't think Richard's going to be looking to sucker punch, but if he lands a big bomb, he definitely has the power to drop TKV, but I think TKV is going to win that on points. Anybody else on the card?
Yeah, you got Justice Hooney and Fraser Clark.
Yeah, Justice Hooney, Fraser Clark. I expect Justice Hooney. I think Justice Hooney will stop Fraser. I think he's going to stop him late on. I don't think that's enough time for him to recover from such a grueling fight where he was concussed. And I think Justice Hooney will stop him. And then he'll be right back in business.
Okay. Right. Well, as you guys know, Basis Picks will be out on Friday, and I might even do it Thursday, so it's out Friday morning rather than sort of Friday afternoon, Friday evening, depending on any plans that I may have lined up. But yeah, look, I think we are suitably done for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in, especially for staying with us an extra 45 minutes. Next week, I'm going to be aiming to have possibly 2 guests on. Not going to tell you who they are just yet. I was supposed to make a phone call yesterday, which I forgot to do, but well, I didn't forget. I just ran out of time, and then things happened. But I'm going to see if I can make that phone call. We're going to try and get a couple people on a guest co-host, and then also a guest to the show as well. So we'll keep you guys updated. And if they do come off, you will see their names in the title, so you'll know exactly who we're referring to. But yeah, that's for next week.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the timings because I'm going to be out of the country next week.
In that case, what may have to happen, ladies and gentlemen, we may have to do a pre-record, because at least that will prevent any issues with internet connection. But yeah, that's something that obviously we'll think about. Or we may sort of tweak the day a little bit. We'll either way we'll figure it out, and you guys will know beforehand. But appreciate you all very much for tuning in, for sticking with us, for rocking. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff on both my channel, Basic Kid Hardcore Casual, also Fight Fan TV Network, and make sure you're subscribed to the X's and the O's and all that other good stuff. Danny, you happy to do your thing?
Thank you very much, people, for locking in. And there you have it. It's another episode of the B&D Podcast. It's Base the Kid. It's Danny Glover. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.
Peace.
Chat stats, pop jabs, reach, who's king? Southpaw switch, lead hook, chin ping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast, all on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.